What's going on, guys? Welcome back to episode 2 of Apocalyptic Build version 2. I don't know what the hell that is. I'm losing my mind. It's been a long day at work. I've been working on PBR policies all fucking day. Policy-based routing for networking, Cisco's, blah, blah, blah. I digress. Anyways, so we've got the hardware up. We're good to go. I want to take a minute to kind of share where we are with the water cooling because I was doing some research. A couple different options I wanted to throw out there. Initially, I had bought the Velocity 2 EK water block, which at the time, I don't know why, I spaced out. I wasn't paying attention when I ordered it. Whatever the case may be, it is a water block for the CPU only. May not be a bad thing, but I wanted the mono block because I wanted to cool our VRMs on the motherboard. Obviously, the thought behind that is that if we keep our VRMs cooler, we can get more of a stable clock, bring the clock speeds up higher, blah, blah, blah. However, this is where the next part comes in. I was going to go a little extreme this time, and I was going to delid my AM5, the 7950X. However, after a lot of research and actually talking to Thermal Grizzly support directly back and forth, great guys, thank you so much for being quick, prompt, and kind of walking through everything that I was thinking and explaining a couple things that I just wasn't really actually putting together and thinking on my own. Basically, let's go back to AM4 platform. AM4 platform, great platform. Unfortunately, AMD kind of fucked its AMD users, and what they did to make AM5 compatible with the AM4 platform, as far as heat sinks and water coolers and things of that nature go, they did not change the lid size, if you will. There's about 1.82 millimeters of lid space that's actually on an AM5 processor. So companies like Thermal Grizzly have actually made a lapping tool which allows you to take up to 1.6 millimeters off the top of the lid and bring that down so you've got a closer contact to the actual die of the CPU. Alternatively, the other method would be to actually delid your CPU and then give, either do a direct die cooler and or Thermal Grizzly again has a high performance lid that is basically like, I think the specs on it is 0.4, 0.6 or something like that. So it just gives you, theoretically, closer contact means better thermal transfer at the end of the day. So AM5's lids are thicker in order to keep the mounting capacity or mounting ability to everything that's already in the market. So AMD kind of did a disjustice to us in that sense, and these are hot processors. It's hard to say. Some people have tested this, but you are seeing greater cooling numbers without that much of a difference. But I mean, it's marginal depending on what you're doing. If you're going to go extreme and you're going to delid and you're going to use liquid metal and you're going to do a direct die water cooling, yeah, you're actually almost seeing negative 18 degrees to 25 degrees Celsius, which is a huge boost, and then allowing you to obviously boost higher at that point and run more stable clocks. That was my thought process. However, I wasn't really thinking through the whole process, and because of what I just explained with the thickness in the AM5 lid, the mono block that I technically have would not work if I was to delid the CPU and put on the high performance mount that Thermal Grizzly uses. And the reason is because the VRMs are obviously a set height. So unfortunately, this thing is obviously milled within specific diameters to meet those VRMs and then meet the AM5 with a stock lid on there. So it would be super cool if EK kind of worked with companies like Thermal Grizzly and actually made like a plate that lowered it down, or I guess you're putting the thickness back, but one could probably argue the quality is better. AM5 also on their processors, they did this weird cutout on the top where Thermal Grizzly again makes like a sleeve that goes around and kind of seals that. But logistically thinking about it, while the seal all the way around, and I'll throw up pictures on the screen to kind of show you, if you put that little seal on, I would kind of think that the foam would soak some of the heat and cause it to run a little bit hotter. So I almost feel like running that is kind of like heat choking the CPU versus having something like this solution right here, where it would just be one flat, larger surface area for delidded CPU where you'd get better cooling and potentially, if you're willing to, run liquid metal and see significant gains there. Long story short, I think because of what I actually do at the end of the day, I'm going to go ahead and forego this dream of delidding the damn CPU and running direct die. I would rather at this point go ahead and go for aesthetics and then just know that I am cooling the VRMs as well, which I would love to see a video, or if anybody can comment, a video of anybody actually doing, you know, any significant gains on cooling the VRMs versus going directly to the CPU, which, you know, ultimately it seems like most of the tests you see, they are just running just CPU coolers, and so you're achieving great clock speeds. So part of me wants to almost say, hey, let's just run the velocity and see if I can actually use that high performance lid on there. But then the other part of me is like, shit, I'm not 100% sure I want to run liquid metal, because liquid metal requires you to basically apply it, run it for a while, take it off, and then reapply it again to make sure that it stays in a constant liquid form. And then roughly they say about 2 to 3 years. Now, honestly, this machine here is going on 6-7 years right now, but I did replace the motherboard and the CPU to the AM4 platform from an Intel platform. I don't remember what I was running at the time. It was an i7 something. And then obviously I upgraded. That's a 2080 Ti up there. So I've done those upgrades. I did that at about 3 years. So about every 3 years I upgrade my hardware, and this is coming up on the 3-year cycle, or just over the 3-year cycle, where we're now going to AM5. I've been sitting on AM5 that I kind of explained in the beginning because of all the shit that happened with ASUS and all that, and you can go back to the video here and check that out and check the links in the comments to kind of see what I'm talking about there. But this is long-winded. We're 7 minutes at this point. I've explained a lot. I think I got the gist of it. I'm just documenting for, you know, if you're still here, cool, awesome, thank you. But what I do want to do is, because I'm not going to go the delidding route, I want to get a baseline. Even though this cooler is probably not a fair cooler to go with, we're going to run this guy through a benchmark, and we're basically going to go through the Solar Bay benchmark and just get some operating temperatures and see kind of what we're at. I will save the screenshots of these operating temperatures, and then when we build this guy fully and we get everything on there, we're going to see how much of a difference between open air and these coolers are versus the water cooling setup in the 240 mil X-Fllow RADS that we have with true push-pull configuration on 140 millimeter fans. That's the real point of this whole video, so I have this all time-stamped if you wanted to skip that long-winded explanation. Anyways, let's get into the testing. Alright, so right off the bat, our scores look pretty good. We'll save that. Obviously, there's our score right there, 98K445. And then if we come over to our temperatures over here, I'm just going to bring it to the center of the screen. It looks like our temperatures max were 95 and 95C, so 204 for our American folks here, which would be me. Our temperatures on the graphics card was, looks like GPU was 67 and our hotspot was 72, and everything else looks pretty good. So let's run this because I'm going to heat soak. I actually did leave the system on for a while, but it's been running kind of just sitting here idle. It hasn't been doing anything, so we'll run this again just to give another, you know, kind of heat soak, make sure that the air is in there. Also, at the time of this bench in my house, it's about 76 degrees, so that is our ambient air temperature. Alright, so our score actually went up higher, and our temperatures still 95C, still 67 on the GPU, and hotspot 72.8. So I don't think this actually went up any higher here. I apologize, I haven't used this in a long time. I don't even know how to get the graphs on here. I kind of didn't play with it. I just kind of threw this up and good to go. Let's go ahead and run a traditional, do I not have, I really thought I had, oh, I just don't have it installed. Let's run Time Spy. just for old school sakes, and we'll go ahead and do CPU as well. And we will check out both of those as well. What I plan on doing once the system's completely done, granted these will not be the clock speeds I will probably run at. I will not let the system be in auto. We will find a specific overclocking profile. Because we're just on open air, I don't want to do anything, I don't want to OC on this thing, so yeah, we could probably push it a little bit and I could probably get better scores. Even just considering the RAM, I mean, if we look at the RAM right now, at least for what this thing is, we're actually only running at 3600 speed. So I know if I turned on what I forget what it is, TP something, TP1, and let it do the auto overclocking, you know, that'll obviously put a little push on the CPU, but it'll also push on the RAM. But then you also have the XMP profile, which for AMD, it's eluding me right now what that profile actually is called. So anyways, I don't have any of that enabled in the BIOS right now. I guess maybe to be fair and to see where these temperatures are, it would be kind of fun to see where that would be even with a baseline. So this is absolute basic out of the box baseline testing is what we're doing right now. So what we can call this, and then we'll have our baseline with the profile enabled, and then we'll have our baseline with Watercool. So maybe that's what we'll go ahead and do. Alright, so here's our time spy score. It looks like 18,300 on the dot. So I'm not sure where that compares nowadays. I'm just gonna close that, but better than 90% of all results. Alright, well, I mean, for doing nothing right out of the box, cool. That's probably a win. So yeah, that's pretty cool to see. All in all, I think, let me see here, this, whoa, darker. Whoa, there we go. Not as bad. Anyways, yeah, so that's our baselines. I'm not gonna go in here. I'm not gonna enable profiles. Damn it, should I? This is a long video already. Fuck it, why not? Document's sake, let's see how technology progresses. Let me go into the BIOS. Let's reboot this bitch, and let's just turn on a couple basic things. Alright, so look who decided to join me in here. How nice. I need to mute the computer really quick because Alex is streaming and I was watching. I tried to enable the profile on here. The memory profile is not there. I'm not 100% sure. I guess maybe the Dominator doesn't have a profile with AMD. I have no idea. I tried to do the DOCP, DOCH, 1, 2. It's trying to clock the memory to 5400. Which should be its max operating, but obviously Silicon Lottery is saying fuck me right now, and we're black screen. We're Q code C5, don't know what it is. I'm not going to look it up. I'm not going to spend any time doing it, so whatever. This video's been long as it is. I don't care. I will deal with all of that shit when the water blocks are on. We have our base scores. I'm happy with them. The computer's going to run. It's going to do what I need it to do, so that's it for this video. Surprise, the video's not over. It was long, whatever, but after I got off camera, I didn't want to just end the episode here. I wanted to, it bothered me. It bothered me that this wasn't working at the advertised speeds. I made a mistake too. The advertised RAM that I have, the Dominator platform, is 5200. The 64 gigs CL40, and that's 5200. So I started messing with it, and of course, after removing 2 sticks, you know, as one would try, I was able to achieve the proper overclocking that I needed and got the RAM to actually be stable at the 5200, and ran some some additional benches with that, but it really kind of bothered me that all 4 sticks weren't working, so I kept troubleshooting that, only to eventually leading down the rabbit hole of finding out that, of course, AM5 platform is having issues supporting 4 DIMMs on their motherboards right now. I don't have the exact reason why, but that's the conclusion. It seems like lower CL DIMMs are being supported, so like 16 gigs times 4, but even then people were reporting issues with that. So what I did, it's now 5 days later, I rush ordered some Kingston Renegade 1648 gig sticks. I'll be running 2 of those for a total of 96. I'm gonna go ahead and swap that right now to test to make sure that those work, and then let's see if the overclock will actually give us 1600. The latency is actually tighter too, the CL timing. So I think the timing on these was, before I actually look, I think it was 36, might be 38s. What did I order? CL32. So we got tighter timings, more RAM, only 2 DIMMs. Let's give these a try right now. Sweet, we got the new RAM in, and I actually like the way the diffuser is on this. It's very bright. The DIMMs or the RAM sticks themselves, the Furies, are a lot shorter than the actual Dominators were. These guys are pretty damn tall for what they are, so I was worried because they weren't black, whatever, blah, 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 but since it's sitting down low enough, it'll look good. Right off the bat, I did not change any of my OC at all. We were running 5200. So I'm pretty happy with that right now. I'm gonna go ahead and reboot and see if I can get the actual advertised speed, but we are showing both DIMMs. We've got 96 gigs at the 5200 on the last OC that we were on. And yeah, let's see what those differences of numbers are from the last charts that I just threw up a minute ago. All right, so these results did not disappoint. Running Time Spy, we went up quite a bit. I didn't pull the last record, but I'll compare it in notes on the screen right now versus what the old score was and then what the new score is. So we got 19,545, and then still puts us in the 93 percentile of all results. But what I thought was interesting was the clock frequency on the CPU stayed at 5.6, almost pushing 5.7, and then the average was 5.2 and a half, just about. And then our clock frequency on the graphics card itself, average clock was about 1921 and pushing 2040. I did slightly clock that in OSI Afterburner, so not that much over. But yeah, overall, that jump is good. The RAM seems good. I ran a couple tests. Now, it did on the Solar Bay test, it said the graphics card driver is not approved. I'm not 100%. That must mean that there's a new driver compared to what 3D Mark has, so I'm downloading the driver right now to kind of play with that. But overall, I'm happy with this. This is great. Good news. Got tighter timings anyways than the CL40, and I've got my 96. I don't need a full 128. 96 should be plenty. I don't have to deal with the bullshit 4 DIMM stuff. 2 DIMMs is enough. Yeah, so my Dominators are for sale. If anybody's interested at the time of this, they may still be available. If not, you know, send me a DM, whatever. Who knows? Anyways, that's going to be a wrap for this video this time. Peace.